back to the channel, welcome to today's video. I hope you're all doing really well. Happy 2025, happy new year. And I'm kickstarting the year with the video that I do every single year, which is my annual budget video, where we go through every single nook and cranny of my finances. That is my incomings, my outgoings, my expenses, the things I've got on finance, the things that I'm in debt on, everything, literally everything, and how I manage my money. Not only like, the incomings and outgoings of my bank account, but like how I manage my money on a day-to-day basis. So like how I allocate my money towards saving for Christmas, saving for birthdays, saving for things like my car insurance, and also just my actual spending money. Like when I go out with my kids and I want to spend some money, like how am I allocating that? What pot am I putting that into? And how am I making sure that I don't spend too much in one area and not enough in another area? All of that is what I go through in this annual video, and then I try and do monthly videos, and I'm going to try and do these in 2025 as well, every single month, to make sure that I'm keeping myself accountable and on track. And it isn't as hard as people think it is. I thought it was really hard before I actually had a spreadsheet, and I just made this spreadsheet, and I sell this exact spreadsheet that we're going to use over on Etsy as well. If you wanted to use it yourself, then it was available to you. I'll pop the link down in the description if you wanted to buy it and use the exact spreadsheet that I'm going to use. I use the same one every year. It's so simple. All the formulas are in there. It adds everything up for you and tells you how much money you've got left over, all of that kind of stuff. It's genuinely a game changer. I think this spreadsheet has absolutely saved me over the last 5 years. Situations change, life changes. Every single one of these videos I've done since 2020 has been so incredibly different. My income has been so different. The source of that income has been incredibly different. I've either been pregnant or having a baby or on maternity leave or going back to work and trying to be self-employed at the same time, and then going fully self-employed and then being on maternity leave, and now trying to have an unpaid year off of work in order to be self-employed and be at home with my kids. Expenses and everything look so different every single year, and they look so different throughout the year, which is why I think an annual spreadsheet is so helpful. So yeah, with all that said, you know what? Let's just go in, get into it, and I'll show you everything. So I had a look back on last year's video to see what my 2024 financial goals were at the beginning of the year, and to see if I had achieved them or not, basically. And I'm really pleased to say that I think I've achieved all of the short-term goals. The long-term goals, not so much, and I haven't even made a dent in any of those, but we'll come to that. First up was to pay off our kitchen, which I'm really pleased we managed to do. The last payment literally came out a couple of days before January, and it is now finished. We do not have to pay anything towards that kitchen anymore, which is a massive bonus, because there's lots of things that are coming up in 2025 that money is going to be really helpful towards. Secondly, we wanted to get our bathroom done, and I needed to save up enough money to get that done and pay that outright rather than having to get a loan and go into debt for it. Thankfully, Ash can do the work for like the kitchen and the bathroom and stuff, so we just had to pay for like materials and things rather than the labour. So I actually ended up paying for the bathroom. Ash, the year before, had just bought the windows, which he's still paying off. So we got our windows all redone and he's still paying that off. So I was like, you know what, I'll try and save the money towards the bathroom and you do all the work. Happy days. Like, I pay for it, you do the job. It works out pretty well in my opinion, and that cost $1,500 in total. Every single thing was done. It took a long time, obviously, when you're doing it DIY, doing it in dribs and drabs, but it was finally done, and it cost a lot less than it would if we were to get someone in to do it. And then my last one for 2024 was to continue putting money into my sinking funds for basically events that are coming up throughout the year that I'm going to have to pay for anyway, but to contribute towards them consistently throughout the entire year, so that when the event happens, I'm not like left in the lurch, obviously, with loads of money coming out that I can't afford. We'll go through it when we go to the spreadsheet, but those were my goals for 2024, and I managed to achieve all of those. The goals I didn't quite achieve there were two goals that were more long-term goals, and I haven't achieved these at all. They were to overpay on the mortgage by £150 every single month consistently. Didn't do that. I did overpay on the mortgage a little bit. We both did a little bit, but it definitely wasn't £150 each. There was no way that we were going to be able to do that. Since our mortgage rate had gone up, our payments have gone up massively. There have been other things that have increased as well, like bills and things. It just hasn't been viable. And we've also made some mistakes throughout the year, I'd say, that meant I guess we've committed to paying for things that we maybe shouldn't have. But you live and learn. We'll get through that, like I say, in the spreadsheet. But it's definitely something I'd like to do, but it's just not something that's been viable in the past year. Equally, I said from the business side of things, I would like to continue saving like £1,000 a month in the business, not my personal money, towards potentially doing an investment property in 2027. That is not happening, let me tell you. 2027 is in 2 years' time at this point. It is not happening. I definitely misread how much money I actually would have monthly being self-employed, like because I was used to having like a lot of money tucked away in the business and not using it for my own personal use, just having it there as a safety net. I didn't anticipate having to dip into that quite as much as I have, and I have had to dip into the money in the business loads more than I thought, in order to keep myself afloat like day to day. So, you know, just keeping it real with you, that has not happened, and it's probably something that I'm gonna have to reevaluate, definitely. Moving on to my 2025 goals, I've got some very specific goals I'd like to keep in mind, and I'd really like to keep them small and achievable. I would like to consistently overpay on the mortgage by £100 a month every single month for a year or until we move. So if we don't move this year, which is a possibility, but I don't know really, if I'm honest. Financially, it's probably the worst decision to make, but our hearts would really like to. Anyway, if we don't move this year, I would like to overpay on the mortgage by £1,200 in a year. Obviously that meaning £100 a month. That's just my share of it. Ash would also like match that if we did make this decision. If we did move, I would pay £100 a month overpayments consistently until that point, and then obviously when we move it would be likely we'd have to borrow more money, and then that £100 a month that we use in overpayments would probably go on just paying off a mortgage that's slightly bigger than our current one. My second financial goal for 2025 is to save £2,000 towards moving costs. So like I say, we would like to move at some point if it's a possibility, but I'm definitely going to try and save £2,000 towards that happening. Whether or not we do it, don't know, but the money will be there for when the time comes. We have a little bit of money aside already. We've got about £2,700 towards like fees, so, you know, solicitors' fees and moving costs, general, you know, all the stuff. It's going to cost like probably £5 to £7 grand. Another financial goal for 2025 is to save £600 towards the trip of a lifetime to Japan in 2030. Yeah, it's a long way off, but if I start now, or I've started, you know, halfway through last year, I will have over £3,000 to contribute towards the trip of a lifetime in 2030. And then finally, the same goal that I had in 2024, I want to continue in 2025, and that is to consistently contribute towards my sinking funds and my savings pots, like my Christmas pot, my birthdays pot, holidays, all that kind of stuff, so that I can try to avoid getting loans out and getting into debt for things that I could hopefully save for first and then buy after. Okay, so this is the 2025 budget spreadsheet that I'm going to be using. This is the same spreadsheet that I use every single year, but it is the one that I am going to be spending over on Etsy. So if you haven't ever downloaded one of my spreadsheets, this is the time to download it. If you wanted to just reuse one of the spreadsheets that I've used previously, you can just make a copy of it, change it over to say 2025, and you can edit all the different fields as you wish. But if you haven't ever downloaded a spreadsheet, this is the one. It's just so simple, honestly. It's so easy to use, and I genuinely feel like it's going to change everything for you if you just want to get on top of your finances. I know it has for me. So first things first, you need to figure out how much money you've got coming in, and this can be different for everybody. Some people have 2 different jobs, some people have a job and a side hustle, some people are just self-employed, some people just have a pay slip come in. So whatever that looks like for you, figure that out and figure out how you want that to look on here. But for me, for example, previously I've had just a paid job that I get a pay slip from, and I get the money transferred into my bank account on the 30th of that month or whatever, and then that's just my money. I don't have to worry about tax or anything. But at the moment, I'm self-employed, so it means I need to take the money from the business and then I need to pay my tax with it separately. So what I end up doing is paying myself, so for example, this month I've been able to pay myself £3,000, which sounds like an amazing amount of money. However, tax comes into this. So I am only taxed 10% on the money that I earn from the business because I pay myself in dividends. It's not actually 10%, it's just under 10%, but I do 10% just to make sure that I've got enough money in that account when the tax bill comes in. So the tax here, I'm actually just going to show you what the formula is I do, just in case you're self-employed. If you're not, this does not apply to you. So I'm just going to do equals sum, and then I'm going to select the cell that I need to, and then times minus 0.1, and that just means it will take off 10%. 0.1 means 10%. It will take off the 10% that I owe in tax for that month, basically. So as you can see here, it says I've earned £3,000, but then £300 of that gets taken off before tax. That leaves me with £2,700. I also want to put in here my child benefit money that I receive from the government for my 2 children, which is £160. However, that £160 isn't money that I keep and put towards bills or anything. It's money that goes straight back out into the kids' junior ISAs. So I just put that in just to illustrate that I do receive that, and that's what I do with the money. But yeah, it doesn't like come into my bank to like pay bills or anything. It straight away goes out into the kids junior ISAs. And if you want to know anything more about kids junior ISAs, I've got a whole video on it, but essentially it's an individual savings account. We have a stocks and shares ISA for both of our kids, and we just put their child benefit money in there because we've been so lucky enough to not need the child benefit money to cover the cost of nappies and formula and childcare and things like that. We can afford it, so we have decided to put that into savings accounts for them. But a junior stocks and shares ISA is a great way of making that money work a little bit harder for them. So rather than just putting it in a savings account where you're going to get 2% or 3% interest, a stocks and shares ISA has the potential to get 7%, 8%, 10%, because it's in stocks and shares. Essentially, it will go up, down, up, down, up, down over the course of years, where there's going to be financial crashes, where there's going to be big booms. But overall, over the course of 18 years, single thing about history has told us that that money will be worth a lot more than it was when you put it in. And so that's why we chose to do stocks and shares ISAs. Like I said, if you want to know anything else about junior stocks and shares ISAs, either YouTube it, because there's so many better people on here than me about stocks and shares, or I have got a fairly comprehensive kids ISA video that I'll link in the description box as well. But anyway, all in all, everything after tax, child benefit, kids ISAs, everything, my take home pay is £2,700 this month. This could look different month on month for me because I am self-employed. However, £3,000, if I'm brutally honest, would be the minimum I would like to pay myself from the business every month. If I could pay myself more, that would be so good, so fantastic. But if I were just to pay myself £3,000 every month, that would be a gross salary of £36,000. Moving down to expenses, we've got everything here basically, which is my living expenses. So anything that comes out of our joint account that I share with my husband, these are living expenses, like anything that's joint related basically. So not like my personal bills, like I go to the gym, I don't get my husband to pay for that, but anything that's shared, like anything to do with our kids, anything to do with our house, practically everything is on here. There's a couple things that aren't on here, but mainly this is it. So we're going to start off, everything you see on here is 50% of that bill. Like I say, we share everything 50-50. We're going to start off with the mortgage, which is £626 each at the moment. So this amount is basically how much we spend on our mortgage every single month. Obviously, you times that by 2, you can tell that's £1,250. Is that right? Something like that, £52. So yeah, that is a lot. Considering we don't even owe that much money, it's just because of our interest rate is incredibly high at the moment, and we've actually fixed for 5 years, so it's going to be at that amount for the next 5 years, which in hindsight was a mistake, but you live and learn. Mortgage overpayments, as I said before, I want to make this a priority and would really, really like to be able to overpay by £100 a month. And I'm kind of treating this like not only paying off our mortgage, like paying off our mortgage early and being mortgage free, that would be amazing, but also this, I'm seeing this as like a savings pot almost for our future house, because we do want to move house. And if I save money in a bank account now towards like, you know, putting towards an extra deposit or whatever, it wouldn't make more money than putting it on the mortgage would save. So it would make more sense to overpay on the mortgage as much as possible in order for us to be able to afford to borrow more when it comes to moving house. Does that make sense? So it means the next house that we buy, if I overpay on the mortgage now, the next house we can buy could be nicer, basically. Kitchen repayments, I have kept this here just so that I can be happy about the fact that we don't have any kitchen repayments anymore. Yay. This used to be £80 a month each, so I have like we've paid that off, it's all done, and hopefully that means that the mortgage overpayments of £100 are a lot more attainable because we don't have that kitchen repayment anymore. Food and groceries, we tend to try and budget £200 each a month for that, so that's £400 in total, meaning on an average month of it being a 4-week month, we would try and get our food shop for under £100 a week. But most weeks we don't go over £100 like at all. We tend to be around the £80 to £90 mark for a food shop, for an average food shop. That includes things like HelloFresh. Probably once or twice a month we would get a HelloFresh. That also includes like all meals, all snacks, all milk, everything that we'd get from the shop. But also things like dog food is included in this. And a couple of things that you pick up from the shops, like nappies, like we get nappies every single week from the weekly food shop as well. So that's included in that. However, it doesn't include things that I get on Amazon Subscribe and Save, which is down here, which I will go into a little bit after, like when we get down to it. But those are things like kitchen roll, toilet roll, bin liners, some other things that are basically cheaper when you get them on Amazon Subscribe and Save and you get them in bulk. Then water, we pay £33 a month each, so that's £66 in total, and hopefully that stays the same throughout the whole of 2025. Gas and electric, £100 a month each, and that stays consistent throughout the whole year because we tend to, again, try and carry on paying £100 in, obviously £200 in total for gas and electric, so that when it comes to like August, although our bill isn't that expensive because it's obviously warm outside and we're not using as much heating, when it comes to obviously January and it is cold, we have the money in our like gas and electric pot already on our account. We're in credit rather than in debit. So it means that we can actually, you know, consistently only have £100 coming out of our account every month rather than one month having £50 come out or £70 come out and the next month having £250 come out. It's consistent across the whole year and we have, you know, mostly a little bit of credit in our account. Home insurance is £10 each. Life insurance is £14 each. We've got a joint policy at the moment and I would like to see if we could potentially get better cover, but at the moment the £14 a month is getting us like life insurance, obviously if either of us pass away, but also if we get critical illness and neither of us can work. Internet, we cost £10 a month each. TV licence is £13.25. I think that carries on throughout the entire year, but there might be a month where that stops, but for now I'll just keep it in. Council tax is £83. And then we've got childcare for George and Hallie. So this is the year that George actually stops going to nursery. He finishes nursery in September because he starts school. So at the moment his costs for childcare, or half of his childcare bill, my half of it, is £130. So I'm going to drag that across all the way until we get to August, or maybe even September, because I think he'll obviously still be at nursery in August because he does like all year round. So I'll drag it till September, and then after that, that will obviously go down because he'll be at school. I'm sure there will be costs associated with school, obviously school uniforms and all that kind of stuff, and maybe if he wants to do clubs, and there'll be additional costs, but they obviously won't be anywhere near as expensive as proper childcare. He is 4, so he gets like the funded hours, the 30 funded hours, and we stretch that across the entire year, so it works out to be about a 22 free hours a week. So yeah, the fact that that's what childcare costs for us, when at one point it was costing £1,200 a month. Yeah, ridiculous. This is amazing. It even costs anywhere near this amount, so that's good. Hallie, my daughter, is 18 months old and she goes to nursery for 2 days a week, and hers actually costs more than George's, but that's because she has slightly less funding where she's younger. So she is £155 a month, and that will be the same throughout the entire year, unless of course anything changes and she goes into nursery more or less. For now, the aim is for her to carry on just going 2 days a week. I think she really enjoys it. She gets so much out of it. And I think 2 days a week is a really nice amount at the moment. If you want to know anything about the funded hours, like the 30 free hours or the 15 free hours that they get when they hit a certain age, or tax-free childcare, which both my kids get as well, then I will link down below in the description box a video that I did in 2024 that explained all of the childcare like funding models and things like that, to help you just figure out what the hell you're eligible for and what you're not eligible for, because it's complex, like, let's face it. Then a few subscriptions. We've got Office 365, which is £4 each, Spotify, which is £7 each, and then the Ring doorbell, which is, it's £2.50 each. Kids clubs, my son does swimming, and that is £28 a week a month, £28 a month each. The swimming lessons are incredible. They're so good. They're such a small, intimate group, and he learns so quickly and so well. So I won't be changing that at all, but it definitely is a little bit more expensive than your average swimming lesson. At some point, I do want Hallie to start as well, so that will be double the bill, but we'll just figure it out soon. Maybe we'll get Hallie walking before she starts swimming. I don't know. Then we move down to the 2 big holidays we've got booked this year. Like, realistically, we overbooked ourselves and we committed. However, we've got 2 really, really big holidays coming up. We've got a holiday for a family friend's wedding, which I'm so excited for, and we've also got a holiday coming up with Ash's side of the family. Every single one of us are going, all of his siblings, all of their kids, all the cousins. It's going to be so much fun for everyone, but both of those things have cost a lot of money, and in 2025 we are paying those off. So we're starting off with the Crete holiday, which is the holiday that we are going on in June. The payments for that though are almost over. So in January and in February we have £111 coming out. However, after that there are no more payments for it. So from March onwards we'll be in the green for that holiday. And then we have another holiday, which is the August holiday for Tenerife, and the last payment for that comes out in July or June. I think it must be July. So that is £220 each. So I think lesson learned a little bit that we probably shouldn't have booked that holiday, because if I'm totally honest, it's probably messed up half of our year in terms of financially a little bit. But you live and learn. Again, we won't be doing that in 2026. We will not be going on lots of abroad holidays. We will be doing a lot of staycations. We'll be doing more like travelling around the UK and maybe going up to Scotland and maybe going down to Cornwall, and not spending anywhere near this amount of money on holidays, especially while our kids are young. It is a lot of work, but yeah, you know, lesson learned anyway. And then finally we've got Amazon Subscribe and Save. Like I said, these are things like household items that I get. I basically buy them in bulk on Amazon. You get a massive discount if you buy things in bulk consistently throughout the year. So a lot of things like toilet roll and kitchen roll and bin bags I get every 3 months, and they come in bulk, they get delivered, and I don't have to worry about it for 3 months basically. And there are other things as well, but yeah, £30 a month, or sorry, that's the total amount, so it's £15 a month. I just pop into the joint account so that when the time comes, like every 3 months comes, I've got the money in there for Amazon to take, and then yeah, everything's just sorted. So I do that. So from my £2,700 take home pay this month, £1,861.75 of that has gone into the joint account and gone basically straight back out for bills and expenses to do with joint account related things. So anything to do with the house, anything to do with the kids, anything joint comes out of that account. So that has now all been taken care of. Scrolling down to personal expenses, we have basically things that come out of my current account, like bills that come out of my current account, or things that I use my current account for, which is not a lot of things. I do things slightly weirdly, and I basically just pay myself into my current account, and then I basically transfer all of my money out of my current account into a Monzo account for spending money and savings. However, I do keep a couple of things in my current account just because that's where the bills come out of. I've only got a couple of things like car tax and gym classes, and then a couple of other things that I would just use my current account for, like parking and public transport, neither of which I do a lot of. It's just ad hoc, like when those things come up. To be honest, I probably could just put those in spending pots, but I just don't know why. But like I say, in my personal expenses, I don't really tend to use public transport a lot unless I have a specific thing that I'm going to, usually in either London or like another city or whatever that I don't want to drive into. But I don't have anything coming up that I am aware of at the moment. But obviously month by month when I do this, like my spreadsheet, I will like go through, obviously if I have an event coming up or if I have something, I'm going to go meet a friend and do something, then I'll just pop in the travel expenses for that month as well. I do tend to do parking probably like a couple of times a month. I don't know whether that's at a soft play or whatever. So I'm just going to shove in £5 for now, just because I don't really need a lot of money for parking, but it's nice to just have something like set aside. For my car tax, £17 a month comes out for my car tax. I did pay that yearly before, but it didn't really make much of a difference if you paid it yearly or monthly, and I didn't have the money set aside for it. So monthly it is, that's totally fine by me. Then this is where the fun part starts, at least for me anyway. I really like transferring basically all of my money into these different pots to allocate for really specific things that I'm going to use this money for, rather than having one big pot of money where I just say, if I had just like, how much money have I got left over at this point? At this point in time, I've got £778 left over that would just be sat in my current account unless I allocated it into different pots. And I would look at the fact that I had £778 or whatever I just said in that account and say, right, let's go on a shopping spree. And then it would get to 2 weeks into the month and I'd have no money left and everyone would be in a terrible state. So what I do instead is, like I say, transfer the money into my mum's account and allocate into these different pots like petrol, home improvements, days out with the kids, clothes, eating out, hair, nails, things like that. Hen do is like, I've got a friend who's having a hen do, so that's the money I'm contributing towards that. But there are other things like savings accounts as well that I would like to do and like contribute towards. So I'm going to start out here by doing the ones that I need to do, and then I'll come back to the ones that I'd like to do, just because I want to make sure that I'm allocating my money like sensibly. I'm going to start off with my savings and then go back on to my set spending money. So my savings pots, these are pots in Monzo that I've created that I can earn interest on when I keep the money in there. So these aren't ones that I could just like get access to straight away. Some of them I just need to wait 24 hours before I can access. So if I say I want to take some money out of my new house fund or my emergency fund, I'd have to wait 24 hours for that money to come through. So that's the only downside, but you do get interest on it, which for me is a massive bonus. And these are like 3 or 4% interest, which is much better than just having it sat in your current account, I think. So for my emergency fund, I would like to put in £50 a month to that this year, because last year I contributed to it. I tried to do about £100 a month and that was great. I've now got a little bit of money left in that account still, so I can reduce my payments to £50 a month, which I'm going to do. You can see at the end, if I don't take any money out of that £600 into my emergency fund, obviously throughout the year, an emergency will occur. Like my dishwasher will break, my boiler's going to break down, I'm going to have to get something sorted. So I doubt I will have £600 at the end of the year in that account, but that's how much my money I would have contributed if I keep up the payments. New house fund, I'd like to put £100 a month if I possibly can into that, because like I say, it is something that I'd really like to do, but it might not be possible to contribute £100 every single month. Car maintenance is basically my car's emergency fund and things like MOT and service. So I like to put about £30 a month into that every month, just to make sure that I've got some money again set aside just in case anything bad happens, and the things that come up every year anyway, like my service and my MOT. Car insurance, again, I put money aside for this every month so that when it comes to renewing my car insurance, I have like money in that pot basically. I've got about £100 in there at the moment, or £150 in there at the moment, so I'm going to lower that to £30 a month. If I ever take money out of that car insurance pot, then I will need to up this, because it will probably like 40 maybe pounds a month it would probably equate to. My car insurance at the moment I think is like £400, so this would be £360. You can see at the end it adds it all up for me. But like I say, I've got a little bit of money set aside in that account already. It's left over from last year, so £30 hopefully should see me, like, tide me over for a little while. New car fund, not a priority. I don't need a new car, but obviously I would really like to not have to get a loan out for my new car when I want to get a new car. So maybe in like 2 years time, if I wanted to get a new car, I would be really happy if I could sell my car and use the money that I've put aside in a new car fund to just buy a car outright, rather than having to get it on finance and get a loan. However, it's definitely not my priority at the moment, so I'm going to leave it blank for now. If I've got spare cash at the end of this, then I will put some money into it. Birthdays, I would like to contribute £30 to be honest, I'd probably like to contribute a little bit more than that, but I don't know if I'm going to have enough money left over. Let's put £50, because this is things like, obviously, kids' birthdays. I've got 2 kids, their birthdays are in July and September. I've got a husband, he's going to turn 35 this year, so that would be quite nice to like do something really nice for his birthday. We've got like a date planned for that day, so I'd like to be able to like book a hotel and a restaurant and pay for dinner. I'd like to do all those things for his birthday, so yeah, that'll be expensive. My mum is also having a birthday and she would like to go and do something fun with me, so you know, expensive things. So I'm going to put £50 because I think that would be sensible. Holidays, obviously I have got 2 holidays booked, so I'm not booking another holiday, but for every holiday comes buying clothes for the kids and also spending money when you're there. Both of those holidays are all inclusive, but you always end up spending some money, don't you? So I think I will put maybe £30 a month in for like spending money, towards those things, I think. I'm sure I'll have to put more in, but for now, it's January, for God's sake, I'm just going to put £30, at least I'm contributing a little thing. And then you're going to think I'm crazy, but Christmas 2026? No, what am I talking about? 2025. 2025, £100 a month. It sounds like a lot, I know it is a lot, and to have like the ability to do that this year was insane. There was only 2 months that I didn't get it, so I had £1,000 in total towards the whole shebang of Christmas. Every single thing that covered Christmas I got from the pot that I had, and I had a little bit of money left over. So £100 is very generous every single month, but it just meant that I didn't have to stress at all this year about money at all. And it just meant it was a much less stressful financial time. So I'm going to try and do that again this year. We'll see if it goes well or not. And then Japan 2030 is a trip that I would really like to go on. Like I said at the beginning, I'd really like to go on that trip with my family in 5 years' time. 5 years' time from now means I would have to save £50 a month in order to achieve the savings goal that I had for 2025, which was £600. £600 every year for the next 5 years would mean I would have £3,000 towards a trip to Japan in 5 years' time. So with all of the money allocated in those savings pots, that's £440 saved towards things that I'm obviously going to spend at some point, but it's just helping me out for the future, I guess. And that still means I've got £338 to play with. However, this is the spending money. So these are pots on Monzo as well that I basically spend throughout the month. They're not really savings pots. I don't get any interest on them, but they're allocated in different pots. I can kind of show you in a minute what I've got in my savings account on Monzo at the moment, this point in time, to show you like what it looks like and stuff. I definitely recommend downloading it. It's completely free, by the way, and it's not an ad that I'm talking about this. I just use it and think it's really good. But those pots look like petrol, home improvements, all that kind of stuff. So my petrol fund, I'm going to do £150 because that's probably how much I realistically use every month. And if I don't, I never go over that, but I probably sometimes do go under it. And if I go under it, it's just nice to just have a bit of cash there just in case. Home improvements, I'm just going to pop £50 because like a £50 a month. I feel like £50 a month honestly doesn't go very far, like when it comes to buying stuff for the house. For me, home improvements can be anything from getting a new mirror to painting a room to literally like replacing a toilet seat because your son has smashed your old toilet seat. Not that I just had to do that or anything, but £50 a month I think just covers like bog standard things. We're not going to be doing any massive redecorations or anything. Like I said, we've already done the kitchen and the bathroom and stuff last year, but you know, 50 quid is just like, you need some money to like redo certain things when things break, or like I say, lick a paint, that kind of thing. Days out with the kids, I'm just going to put £50 a month as like a solid number. This, when I say days out, these aren't like the big days out, like going to the zoo or, you know, like a big proper event day out. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, a lot of that comes out of my husband's pocket. Like if we were to go on a family day out to the zoo, like he would probably pay for that, to be honest. But the days out with the kids that I kind of put this money towards are like the odds and sods that you end up doing with the kids just because you're with the kids. Like going to soft play, buying a pack of crisps at soft play, maybe a fruit shoot when you go to the trampoline park, maybe when you go to the park just down the road and get an ice cream, even if it's freezing cold, then, or a hot chocolate or whatever, if you go to the country park. All of these little odds and sods that add up over the course of a month when you're out with the kids, especially if you're trying to avoid a meltdown or your kids are just really hungry and you didn't pack a packed lunch and you just need to buy something when you're out. I tend to do a lot of free activities with the kids, but you always end up spending some money. So £50 is probably like, you know, a fairly conservative estimate as to how much that costs. It probably does cost more, but I do also then allocate money for eating out and takeaways that kind of sometimes these two kind of merge together. Clothes, I'm going to put £25 a month into. This is for me and the kids. Obviously, my husband contributes to if the kids need new clothes, like every 3 or 4 months when the seasons change, we tend to get them new clothes because obviously they've grown out of them, they've got holes in, they're not warm enough or cold enough depending on like the season. But I also sometimes just buy something nice that I see, if I see it on Vinted, or if I've just, you know, I just want money in that account ready to go if I need it. I do buy a lot of stuff secondhand. Like I buy most of my clothes and most of the kids' clothes on Vinted secondhand and use like my Vinted balance if I've sold things on there to pay for it normally. So £25 a month is just like fairly, that's quite fine, I think. Like I say, don't buy clothes every single month, but maybe every 3 or 4 months I'll probably buy some clothes for myself or the kids. Eating out on takeaways, like I said, I'm just gonna pop £25 in that pot just because I like having monthly takeaway. I love having a monthly takeaway. We do it every Friday payday. Basically we always have like a payday takeaway, whether that's a Chinese or an Indian or just fish and chips or something. And we probably, I guess, figure out, like, we just kind of alternate who pays for that, I think. Like sometimes most of the time Ash pays for it, but then again, the eating out pot, if I don't pay for the takeaway that month, that will pay for, like, I don't know, getting a Greggs with the kids, or if we were at Lidl getting something at the bakery with the kids. It's always something with the kids mainly. Or, God forbid, you know, if I actually got a day to go out with a friend for lunch or something like that, you know, that's where this money would go. So £25 a month, I think, is, again, it's conservative, but at the same time, it's definitely not my priority to spend money on. So I want to make sure that I'm being realistic and, like, I do spend money on those things, but I don't want to, like, over budget, overspend on it just because I can. I'd rather save money towards, like, more important things. Then the last few things are hair, nails, hen do, date night, and beauty subscriptions. All of those things are not essential things. Like the hen do is actually something that I'm committed to going to. It's my friend's hen do, so I will. That is an essential thing. But the others are not, like, things I have to do. They're all nice to haves. But I would like to, like, allocate some money towards it. Having looked though, I've already allocated £300 for spending money in this section and £440 into savings, which leaves me with £38.25. Not a lot of money to play with. And I would have to say, in my Monzo account at the moment, I have got money for hair already because I didn't get my hair done in December. My kids were ill, couldn't get to my appointment, had to be cancelled, etc. So I didn't get my hair done then, which means I've got money in the account for January to get my hair done. I tend to just get my hair done every month. I get a £35 haircut and I just feel so much better for it afterwards, and it's just something that I really like, so I'm not going to stop doing it. Nails, I also have some money in the account for nails. However, from February, I will have to start contributing towards it. So hair, £35, nails, nails cost so much money, I think £40. Maybe. And then date nights, I don't think we're going to be going on a date night in January. That's totally fine. But it is kind of something that I'd like to prioritise at some point this year. Like I say, my husband's birthday is coming up, that's in March, and we've got a big date night coming then. So maybe and then my birthday's in May, so we'll do something then. Maybe every couple of months, if I'm honest, like every couple of months, it would be nice to do a date night. So if I allocate maybe from June, yeah, that's June, isn't it? From June onwards, I'd like to maybe allocate like £30 or £50. Now let's go £50 because it's important. £50 a month towards doing stuff would be a great thing to be able to achieve. Like every couple of months, go out for a really nice date night. £50 sounds like a lot. Yeah, maybe I could do less because we don't have to do like extravagant dates. We can do like go to the cinema up the road. Like, let's just be real. So £30. We can do really good date nights on that. Let's do it. Then we've got beauty subscriptions. This is a couple of subscriptions that I've just got, like personal ones that I could cancel if I wanted to, but I do get a couple of things delivered, like eyelashes, and I also get skincare delivered, like a subscription service, and I also get a razor subscription delivered. And all in all, total, it costs about £30 a month, because some months I get something and then the next month I don't, and then the next month I do. But if you round it up and work out the average, it's £30 a month. And like I say, that's a nice to have. I could cancel that. I could cancel some of those things, definitely. But I have got those subscribed at the moment, so I'll put that in. Which leaves me with a grand total in January, all in all, after my £2,700 income, minus my £1,861 expenses for living costs and mortgage and proper bills, proper grown-up bills, then £60 in personal expenses, and then £330 in spending money, and then £440 in savings pots, leaves me with £8.25. Not a lot. It's not a lot, is it? However, I would say that for me, like, everything's pretty much allocated for, so it's not like I'm trying to live off £8.25. I've got all of my spending money here. Like, I'm actually living off of £330 if you look at it this way, but obviously I like to allocate it into those separate pots. And obviously if the worst should happen and I need some money, I've got my emergency fund, and if I needed, you know, money for my car, I've got my car maintenance fund. And you can have a look at my Monzo account in just a second to see how much money I've got in my actual savings pots. I'm okay. Like, I'm not surviving off of £8.25, although it looks like it. It's just how I like to manage my money, basically. And then at the bottom, it obviously looks significantly worse for the rest of the year because I haven't put in what my income is going to be in February, March, April, May, June, July, etc. In theory, I would really like to be able to give myself £3,000 from the business at least until August. And the reason I'm saying until August is because from August onwards, I don't know what's going to happen in terms of my year off. I'm supposed to be going back to my employed job in September. That's what I'm contracted to do, etc. And that would mean my finances would take a massive turn. From September, it would be very difficult for me to maintain achieving this amount of money from the business and working 4 days a week, which is what I worked before I went on maternity leave, and being a mum of 2, and George starting school, meaning he would need wraparound childcare, and Hallie having to start nursery like almost full time, meaning that her bills would go up for childcare, all of that kind of stuff. Public transport would be a lot more because I'd have to be going into the office, into London and stuff. So finances would change a fair amount, and I am not in a position right now to say whether or not that's going to happen, how much it will be at that point, I just won't know. But until August, I know where I stand with everything. And if, everything stays the same until August at least, then it looks like I'm a lot better off throughout the rest of the months. Although February and March need looking at because they were in the minus 111. I wonder why that is. I think that's because I've said that I'm going to contribute some more money. So basically in February, I need to pay myself more. I need to earn more money in February, basically. And then just quickly, I just wanted to show you what my Monzo account looks like, just because I've been speaking about it loads. These are my pots of money that I have in my Monzo account. These are just my spending pots. So I've got £664 in there in total, which sounds like an awful lot. But to be honest, a lot of these things I will spend. I will either spend or this month, or they'll go into next month's sort of pot of money that I will spend at some point. And these include everything like the date nights, days out, hair and beauty, eating out takeaways, all the things we spoke about in the spreadsheet. Including the hen do, for example, that's the money that I'm gonna either contribute towards the accommodation at the hen do, or spending money that I'm gonna use on the hen do when I'm there. And then going down to savings, at the moment I've got £4,494 in savings, which sounds incredible when you add it all together, but obviously where they're all in different pots, it seems like it's not as much. But yeah, that's incredible that I've almost got £4,500 in savings, which I'm quite proud of, to be honest. All of those different pots are split out into things like my safety net, which is my emergency fund, it's the same thing. Christmas 2025, holiday, obviously I've got no money in that at the moment because I'm paying off all the other holidays that we booked. Car insurance, my next car fund, Japan, I've got £350 towards Japan already, which I'm excited about. Oh, I really hope I actually achieve that. I'll be really proud of myself if I do. A festival, but I've actually paid that already, used the money that was in that account to pay for festival tickets that we're going to go to this year. Next house fund is obviously the biggest one, which is £2,774. That is money that Ash and I have contributed towards it. We just popped it all in one pot. Birthday is £200, and then car maintenance £171 for the service and MOT and all that jazz. So yeah, that is what my Monzo account looks like. Anyway, I really hope you found that video useful, guys. If you need that spreadsheet in your life, download it. I promise you it will change your life. It will at least help you realise how much money you have coming in, how much money you have coming out, probably how much money you're wasting on things. That's what it's done for me, made me realise how much money I'm wasting on things. Also, try and get you to a point maybe where you're not in loads of debt for things, where if you want a new car, or you need a new car, or you need to fix something in your house or whatever, you can hopefully try and get to a point where you are either debt-free or almost debt-free, and then trying to build up these pots of money to save towards future goals. That is the revolutionary thing for me. This spreadsheet allowed me to get out of debt and personal loans and all that kind of stuff, to then actually get in a position where I can save towards things rather than pay it after the fact of buying it. I feel like it's a money mindset thing, and yeah, it's just the best change I've ever made. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. For now, I am gonna love you and leave you. Happy 2025, happy budgeting, bye! 'Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever.
so free. Oh, my sweet baby.